I promise that is not clickbait. There really is one tip that can help you sell $10,000 worth of popcorn.
You have my undivided attention.
And it has nothing to do with flashy gimmicks or spending any additional money. It simply requires you to change one thing about your sales process to crush your goals. So, with that, stay tuned. If you're new to this channel, we're on a mission to inspire and inform new scouting parents and adult leaders. And since it's August, we're talking about popcorn sales. Popcorn season is a great opportunity to raise funds for things like summer camp, high adventure, and other scout-related items. And there really is one tip that I have seen across 3 separate councils that has directly impacted the amount of popcorn that a scout can sell. Now, is it like scientific research? No, not necessarily, but it is a tactic that is used by marketing companies out in corporate America. But before we get to that, we need to lay some foundational items to ensure that this tip has the greatest chance of success. Specifically, 4 things that I want you to do before you even think about doing this tip. Foundational item number 1 is to set a goal. Yeah, I know you are all rolling your eyes at me because you're like, duh, Matt, everybody knows that. But the reason I bring it up is because I have seen people say, I'm just gonna sell as much popcorn as I can. And while that may work for you, having a dedicated goal is extremely helpful for your scouts. A vision without a goal is like hiking without a map. You may end up where you want to go, but it may take you a lot longer. Also, breaking down the goal helps set realistic expectations for each scout. For example, a pack of 10 Cub Scouts with a goal of $10,000 is a lot different than a lone scout with the same goal. Both can be accomplished, however, look at the amount of effort that each has to put in to accomplish that goal. If you are unaware, Trails Inn, the company that makes the popcorn that Scouting America sells, has changed its pricing model as of this year. So it's $20 for a normal flavored bag of popcorn, $25 for the microwavable 12-pack, and $30 for the chocolate pretzels, which won't come until later on this year. I'm going to use those prices and do some math to show you how this example is going to work.
Yeah, I never liked math.
So to make this example a lot easier to understand, I'm going to only use the $20 bags of popcorn. So if we take our $10,000 goal and we divide it by the $20 bags, you end up with 500 bags that need to be sold. Using our group of Cub Scouts, where there's only 10 Cub Scouts within the pack, that means that each youth only has to sell 50 bags over the course of the next 5 months, because Scouts can sell from 1 August until 31 December via the Trails Inn app. But a normal season runs between August and October, because by then people usually start getting burnt out and they want to start focusing on the holidays. But that gives our Scouts 12 weeks to roughly sell 4 bags of popcorn per week. Compare that to our lone scout, who now has to sell 500 bags on their own during the same time frame, and you're looking at 42 bags a week.
You can do it!
As you can see, setting the goal and breaking it down into smaller chunks makes it seem a lot more achievable, especially for our Cub Scout pack within the example. And if you can excite your scouts about the goal, they'll see these smaller objectives as different wins, and they'll get more and more excited and want to sell more and more popcorn. If you'd like more ideas about how you can get your Cub Scouts and scouts alike excited about selling popcorn, leave a comment down below and I'll make that one of my future videos. So we've got the goal, now it's time for foundational item number 2, which is to look and act the part. Without getting too deep into this topic, because it would stretch out this video way too long, you need to ensure that there are 3 basic things. First, your scouts need to present a scoutly image. That means clean uniforms with appropriate pants and scout-like behavior. The uniform is one of the methods of scouting and should be worn with pride. While people tend to give a little bit more grace to kids whose uniforms are like oversized, like I talk about in this video here, large stains and bad smells,
what's that smell?
Are likely to chase away even the kindest of elderly people who remember those Norman Rockwell scouts. There's also health concerns about buying food products from people with lax hygiene, so I just want you all to keep that in mind. Second is the manner in which the scout handles rejection. It can be really hard for a new scout to get through those first couple of no's, or it can be discouraging for an older scout who has moved on into a troop in Scouts BSA and maybe isn't seeing the same results as they did when they were in a pack. Handling rejection is a crucial lesson to learn because it's meant to teach resilience to the scouts. And the only thing that can make that rejection worse is the scout acting in an unacceptable manner. I'm talking about screaming, yelling,
"You're ruining my life!"
berating,
Their crank just stiffed the scouts on a Christmas tree.
questioning,
Because you're fat and poor.
or just outright throwing a tantrum because they were rejected.
I'm in tantrum position.
Scouts are expected to always act appropriately, and when you start throwing a tantrum, you're not only hurting your own personal brand, but the brand of scouting as well. I have seen plenty of examples where a scout approaches an adult,
Good afternoon. My name is Russell.
asks them the question, is rejected,
No.
and then the scout says thank you, appreciate your time, or have a great day, only for that adult to later return from their vehicle with a small donation. And while I cannot prove it, I do full-heartedly believe that the way in which that scout handles rejection did lead to that small donation from that individual. You know, because unfortunately there are parts of the country where manners and etiquette are a rarity. Third is the table setup. You want your table to present a professional image. It does not need to be over the top, but a good table, a pop-up, and maybe a sign to draw on some attention is gonna do wonders. I've even seen some people purchase some props from Amazon to set on the table or hang from the easy up, and I've even seen scouts buy giant popcorn costumes and stand there like some wacky inflatable arm-filling tube man to draw an attention, and people think that it's hilarious and they're having fun at the same time. Also, bonus tip, if the scout is having fun and they're doing all these great things, it's a great recruiting opportunity. So make sure if you see anybody walking around with a Scout H youth that you ask them if they're already involved in a pack or a troop and share the information. Just want to put that out there as a pro tip. Hey, before we round out the foundational list and we get to our supercharging tip, I do have to pay some bills, so please stick with me for a moment. Down in the description are my Amazon affiliate links, which means that if you click and you buy your very own Mosquito Oasis, which I highly recommend, it was a game changer at Goshen, and I'm going to be doing a video about it in the future, I do receive a small commission, and you are directly impacting and helping grow this channel. Also, I'm going to be doing some merchandise here in the near future, so I'm going to put some different designs up on the screen. If you can leave a comment down below about which one you think is the best, I would greatly appreciate it. Finally, the best way that you can help this channel grow is to share this video and all my videos with all of your scouting friends. That way we can grow this network in this community. And also, speaking of community, make sure you join me over on Scouter Sans channel the first Sunday of every month for the fireside chat. But with that, let's go ahead and get back to the list. All right, foundational item number 3 is to know the product. Your scout should know the difference between all the different flavors and the pricing for each individual item. I've always seen that people come up and when they're really interested and they're, trying to really ensure that the scout gets the most out of the sale, they'll ask the scout, hey, which one is your favorite flavor? Why is that your favorite flavor? Which one do you think that I should get? Your scouts should have that information readily available, and it should be genuine. If they really like the cheddar cheese, they should say that they like that one. If they have a different flavor, they should talk about it. Just knowing the product is one of the best ways to show that you are actually engaged in this, and this isn't just something that you're doing to kind of collect money on the side. But the final foundational item, number 4, is to know how to work the Trails End app. Now, this is a huge one because while I was writing the script for this video, I ended up going to my committee meeting, and then somebody pointed out that they have recently updated the Trails End app, and the user interface is a lot different than it was last year. So make sure before you set up your first sale, your first storefront, whatever, that you go into the app and you poke around and you see how it is that it has changed. Make sure that you practice using the app. One of the coolest changes of this new Trails End app is the tap to pay. So now instead of having like a Square or some other sort of card reader or having to enter in that information manually, on some newer phones, I'm not sure which generation of iPhone or Android, Samsung, Google, whichever one it is able to take tap to pay, but I do know that a lot of the newer generations of phone are able to do that. So you can hold your phone out and have the person put their tap to pay on top of it, and it will take that transaction. You just want to make sure that you know how to use that or if your phone is a little bit older, how to use the square, and if necessary, how it is that you are going to manually enter in credit card information in the event that the person doesn't have cash. I just want to put that out there because that is one of the biggest limiting factor that necessarily isn't on the Scout. It is kind of on the adults, especially in a Cub Scout situation. Which brings us to our super tip, and that is to sell the why, not the popcorn. So there's this guy named Simon Sinek who is an author and inspirational speaker on business leadership, and he gave this great talk about selling the why, not the what. And with fundraising for Scouts, the message applies even more so because no one in their right mind is going to pay $20 for a single bag of popcorn. It just doesn't make financial sense. Which is why your Scout should not be asking, hey, would you like to buy popcorn? They should be saying something to the effect of, would you like to support my scouting journey by buying popcorn? Would you like to help me get to summer camp by buying popcorn? Would you like to help my troop get to our high adventure camp by buying some popcorn? That is where the true value is. You are not selling popcorn, you are selling that vision of that Scout out at summer camp or Philmont or whatever high adventure that they want. That potential customer should look at the Scout, see how clean they are when they say, hey, can you help me get to my goal? And therefore tap into that emotional place. Because maybe they were a Scout, or somebody in their family was a Scout, or maybe they're just looking at the foundational things that we talked about earlier and they're saying, hey, this organization must be doing something right, so I'm gonna help this kid out. Will it work every time? No, not necessarily. Have I seen it work tremendously well in the past? Yes, I have seen it work tremendously well, and I always recommend this to every single Scout that I come in contact with who is selling popcorn. But there you have it. There are the 4 foundational items that I highly recommend, and that one supercharged tip to help you knock your goals out of the park. So make sure you do all that great YouTube stuff down below. But with that, I've been Matt with the Roaming Scouter, and I'll see you out there.